So today I'm in the wilds of Norfolk to do something I never thought I would do, which is a colonic. And lucky you, I'm going to share bits of it with you. Not much, but I'm going to show you what a colonic is all about and why it can be a very good thing to do. So I'm here with Marie Reynolds, and who I've spoken about many times before because she does amazing facial treatments, amazing supplements, amazing skin products that are really magical. So there is no one else in the world who could have persuaded me to do a colonic. And I was motivated by the fact that I do have some gut issues and I've got some dysbiosis in my gut, and so I do have some things that need addressing. And I mean, Marie loves colonics. I have never known anyone who loves a colonic as much as Marie. She's always showing bits of it on Instagram. I'm going, nah, stop doing that.
But the whole reason is because there's such a taboo about poo and worms. And
there she goes. I
apologise.
I apologise now. But why? What is this? Why do you love a colonic so much?
Well, first of all, you know that I've got my own skincare brand and my own supplement brand, and we are what we eat. But actually, we are what we are within our gut, and it does show up in our skin. So a lot of skin issues come from the gut, come from inflammatory resources from the gut, come from what we're eating, and you know that you've got a very good, healthy diet and lifestyle. But still, over years and years and years of not having your bowel properly cleansed, or stress, anxiety, sleep patterns, environmental factors, they all play a part, not only on our skin, but our overall well-being. And the gut is king. So for me, it was a no-brainer.
And I mean, just so that you know, Marie has suggested, as I am a colonic virgin, that I actually do 3 in quick succession. And I actually had my first one last week, and I was too nervous to film it or talk about it. I wanted to experience it first. And I have to say, she was very gentle with me and very caring. And it was actually absolutely fine. And I would say there was one moment that was uncomfortable, which feels slightly overwhelming, but other than that, honestly, it was fine. And I don't like pain, and it wasn't painful at all. And there's just a few moments where it just feels a little bit intense.
Well, that is very dependent on the individual.
Right.
So a lot of people think that when you have a colonic, there's a pipe going up your bum and then there's loads of poo coming out. That doesn't happen to every single person, and that's why it's suggested that you have 3 in quick succession.
Right.
Because a lot of people get disappointed if they don't have anything come out in the first go. And that's very normal. I've been having colonics for many, many years, and I never release in the colonic room, but I do in the bathroom.
Right.
That's purely because sometimes you've got a bowel that doesn't like to be filled and emptied. I've got one of those.
Right.
You can also get people that are severely constipated. Even if they're going to the poo regularly, you can still be constipated because it's that fecal plaque, it's that plaque that builds up throughout the years, many, many years, that stops that hydration, that stops that defecation of old poo. Okay?
Wow. And nobody wants old poo up there, do you? I mean, nobody wants that.
No,
let's be honest.
No. So it's really important that you have 3 in quick succession, so you have a good cleanse of the bowel. Some people do have release, and that can be anything from a liver flush, so that is where the water goes bright yellow.
Yes, and I had that, didn't I? So I had a good liver flush.
Yeah, I had a good liver flush, which is really good. And what we've got to remember is, with my work, it's not just about the physical organ, it's also about the emotion that's linked with that.
Right.
So if you're under extreme amounts of stress that are evoking emotions like anger and frustration, or or sadness or grief or anything like that, that will have an impact on the digestive system, either the liver, the gallbladder, the bowel. So that actually can have an impact on your release. as well.
So would you say that a colonic is good for stress?
100%. If you think 80% of your serotonin is made in your gut. That's your happy hormone. So it's really good for any anxieties, stress, any addictive type behaviours, anything from gut issues, which is a no-brainer. That's why most people have a colonic irrigation. But it's also really good for hormone balance. You know, if you think about the amount of heavy metals that we consume, you know, you can be the most healthiest person, but if you're eating from an aluminium pan, or, you know, if you're living in a city, we've still got high levels of heavy metals.
Yeah.
We even consume it through products in our hair.
Absolutely.
So, you know, bolting that on with an enema like a wheatgrass or a chlorella enema is a really good chelator that mops up the heavy metals. And parasites as well.
Yes, and we've all got parasites.
Everybody's got parasites. People freak out about parasites, but, you know, we have worms in every part of our body, from our brains to our eyes to our lungs to our gut to our uterus, that contribute to so many different things.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, but
and other kinds of parasites too.
Yeah, we have different flukes and worms and nematodes, all these different things.
Oh my God! Well, it does. I mean, honestly, I know it's gross. It's totally gross. But on the other hand, I mean, but are these parasites good for us, or are they? I mean, why does our body have so many of them?
Well,
if they're there, don't they need them?
We are 98 or 99.9% cells or viruses or bacteria or pathogens. Okay.
Wow.
We're only sort of like a 0.1% cells are human. Okay. So if you think about
is that a fact?
That's a fact. So if you think about our virome and our viruses, how many billions and billions and billions and trillions of different species we've got of them.
Yeah.
That all has an impact on our body. Now, we have our own virome as well as our microbiome. So we have our bacteria and our different, and we know we've got good bacteria as well as bad bacteria. We have good viruses as well as bad viruses. And we have good worms and parasites as well as bad worms and parasites.
A bit like our microbiome.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
which is bacteria.
Yeah, so it's only, so we could have, let's just say, some worms or flukes living in our lungs, and they're saying, if you let us stay here because it's nice and moist and warm, we'll absorb all the heavy metals, so we won't cause you any problems.
Right.
So we live in a symbiotic relationship with all of these different systems. However, if you have what I call the toxic bin that's quite high, whether it's your lifestyle, whether it's stress, sleep, medication, recreational drugs, alcohol, all of that then changes the metabolic terrain to being more alkaline to more acidic. Right. And that's when all of these things become more pathogenic, which means that they work against you rather than symbiotic.
Right, and I suppose the balance changes.
Yeah.
But how can you be sure that when you do a colonic, you're getting rid of the bad guys?
Well, you will get rid of the bad guys, and you'll get rid of some of the good guys as well. Right. So that's what a lot of people get put off with, and they say, oh, it's going to strip your gut of good bacteria. Well, it does, you know, but that's why I always give you a high-strength probiotic, or you can have a probiotic implant, so it helps to recultivate all of that good bacteria. You will see, sometimes you see these tiny, like little, almost translucent, like angel hair pasta that comes through. Right. They're usually sort of like tiny little parasites that come in. Right. And it can be anything from that to big, massive tapeworms.
Oh my goodness. So the good as well as the bad is going to come out. So I think that will be worrying to some people.
But then if you think about how much bad bacteria we have in our systems that can cause dysbiosis, it can cause leaky gut, it can cause SIBO, it can cause skin conditions, it can cause bloating, it can cause...
Well, that is what I'm battling with. So even though I have a healthy lifestyle, I think stress, you know, I have certain stresses in my life, and they're very, very undermining. And when you have things like dysbiosis, you don't absorb nutrients as well, which is why it really does have to be addressed. You know, eating things like sugar is bad. I mean, you know, really, sugar is the enemy, and so it, you know, but you know, I eat pretty healthily anyway. So I just thought that I would try this to sort of correct the balance. I want to improve my absorption of nutrients and also detoxify. So it is very detoxifying, and as you said, you also can and I am going to do this, you can put an implant of probiotics
Yes, so
as well.
That would be a 24 billion culture probiotic directly into the bowel, which you can have bolted onto a normal colonic, but usually it's part of one of my treatments called the total body detox.
Right.
So that is a colonic and an enema.
Right.
And the difference between a
Yes,
colonic
what is
and
the
an enema.
difference?
So a colonic hydrotherapy does what it says on the tin. It hydrates the whole bowel and it hydrates the visceral organs, because sometimes you'll see that hardly any water will come out, and that's
Right.
literally your visceral organs are sucking all of that in.
Right.
An enema will only reach the lower part of the bowel, but whatever you put in the enema, whether it's organic coffee, I've got all of my herbs that I use as well, for parasite cleanses, or good for immunity, all of these different things, they're absorbed by the capillaries behind the bowel wall and they go directly to the liver, so they have a detoxinating effect.
Right.
Or an alkalining effect. So they really do boost what you're doing with the colonic.
I see.
Okay?
So it adds to the detoxification.
It adds to the detoxing. Then you'll have something called ozone insufflation. So
Right.
ozone is an unstable form of oxygen.
Right.
If you breathed it in naturally, it's not very good for your lungs.
Right.
That's why it goes up the bum.
Right.
Okay. Or it can.
And what does that do?
So that wipes out all viruses, all bacteria, and all pathogens. It's the most
Bad ones or good ones as well?
All, everything. That is
All.
why you have your probiotic implant after.
Right.
Okay. Well, not all. I mean, it doesn't wipe it out, but it does sort of like reduce them. But don't get hung up on sort of like just the good bacteria.
Yes,
because
yes. This is now worrying me.
Yeah, no, don't get hung up on the good bacteria, because that is always being implemented. If you go for a colonic, always make sure that they give you a probiotic afterwards, always, because the amount of people that I've seen and they've never been given a probiotic.
Right.
So I will always give a high strength practitioner probiotic after, which is what you had last time you came.
Oh, did I?
Yeah,
I didn't even know I had that.
No, I gave you the ProBio Plus.
Oh, right. Yes, the supplement. Yes, yes.
So you have the ProBio Plus, that's a high strength, and those probiotics have the probiotics from the lower part of the stomach, as well as the small intestine and the large intestine. So they're not just like your normal probiotics, because usually
Right.
they just have the probiotics for the large intestine.
Yes, so Marie gave me one of her supplements, which is this, she's
Probio
explaining
Plus.
this very powerful probiotic.
But if you have the ozone insufflation, or if you want a probiotic implant, that is an implant where a catheter is threaded through the back passage directly into the lower part of the bowel, and then you have the fluid injected into you, which is 24 billion cultures of pure, lovely,
Straight to the source.
Straight to the source.
Now, I know that sounds, hugely uncomfortable, but actually I didn't find it. I mean, I was dreading it, I have to say.
It's taken a while to convince you.
I know, it's taken me
And I'm
a
really
few
proud
years.
of you.
I know. But honestly, I was pleasantly surprised. And then you were quite surprised. My body just did it all quite quickly.
You did, honestly, you did so well. You did so well. And I want to come back to the point where you said it was really uncomfortable. There's only points where it becomes uncomfortable, because as the water goes around the bowel, first of all, it reaches the liver, and you'll have a liver cleanse where the water goes yellow. Then it will reach the gallbladder, which is just below the liver, and that's where the water goes a little bit like with muddy green.
Yes.
And you get some gallstones coming
Yes,
out. Which
yes. I had some
surprised
gravel.
you.
I had
Yeah,
some
so
gravel.
it's
I
like-
went, what?
Yeah, so it's like gravel. So
Yeah,
it really
yeah.
flushes all
Yeah,
that through.
yeah.
Then what happens is, as it comes around to the cecum, which is sort of like right round here.
And what is the cecum?
The cecum is where the small intestine comes into the large intestine.
Right.
And there's also some things there called the Peyer's patches, which is where your immunity is. So that's why having a colonic is so good for your immunity as well.
Right.
But what happens is it engages with the vagus nerve.
Right.
So that's when you sometimes get this feeling of thinking, oh my goodness, and you can sometimes, where you get a little bit panicky, or your breathing is not in sync.
Yes.
It can be a little bit crampy.
Right.
But as you said, you're dealing with stress, so you had a stressful situation, there was lots of things, and it was your first one. It was sort of like fear of the unknown. But you did so well, and it actually isn't too bad. I mean, like, you have your massage on your tummy, you have acupuncture in your legs.
Yes, that's also what Marie does. She puts little acupuncture needles into your leg to help it go, and she's massaging your tummy. And then you said, oh, you've got a stress blockage here, and you sort of worked on that and got it through. So yeah, it was very interesting. I've definitely felt very good since then, and I would say I felt less stressed. So do you think that can actually help you with stress and help you feel?
Yes.
Because as you say, the gut is just so important, and our immunity, our hormones, the serotonin, dopamine, all our neurotransmitter hormone, most of them are made in the gut. So it is a very, very important place. And I was really shocked when I heard that I had dysbiosis. And the doctor who did it was shocked. He said, this is not what I was expecting from you.
Yeah.
But it is amazing what stress can actually do to you.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. It's on an emotional level, things that you can't see, touch and feel energetically has a massive impact on the body. And, as I say, when you're holding onto your crap, emotionally and physically, I can sense it. I'm almost like talking to your bowel. I'm with my fingers. There's a thing where I say I see with the feeling touch. So these are my eyes, and I can actually almost. And I'm whispering and I'm talking to your bowel, saying, "Come on now, let go, let go." And and then you flick a needle in a specific point, and then you have a magic release. I don't believe personally in filling up and emptying, because I believe that can put a little bit more stress on the bowel. So I will do a lot more alternative things. So with the energetic side, and I sometimes even use a tuning fork on the tummy.
Oh, I didn't have that.
You didn't
I
have that
feel
because you released. You did really well. We can use one today.
So it was so funny because I've come up from London to Norfolk, and my husband said to me, I cannot believe that you're going all the way to Norfolk. I said, well, there's only one person who's going to do this to me, and that is Marie. And I was telling Marie this last week, and she said, people come to her from all over the world. You say you have two sisters who come from the States twice a year. And the first time they came, they turned up at 5 o'clock in the morning because they booked it on American time. And they knocked on her door and said, "We're here for our colonic." And she said, "But it's 5 o'clock in the morning."
I said, not this time, you're not.
And they said, "Oh, we thought you just started very early." Anyway, she got out of bed and did it for them as they'd come all the way. But you said you have people come from all over, from Scotland, from Cornwall, from the Isle of Wight. So there must be something in what you're doing. And I don't blame them because, I'm never doing a colonic with anybody else, that's for sure.
Well, once you've done this 3, then it's every 3 to 4 months or minimum twice a year.
Right. Okay. All right.
But I am very proud of you. Well done.
Thank you. So this is where it all happens. Marie uses homeopathic medicine to add to the flush. This is the map. This is the area we're going for of the intestines and the colon and the bowel. And this is the machine that she uses. So there's a thin tube, there it is, that she uses to flush water through the system. And then that big hose is where it all comes out. And it is a gentle process. It has moments of feeling intense. But when you see the stuff that comes out of there, you realize how much you actually need it.
So it's advised to have a colonic every 3 to 4 months. Initially, if you can have 3 in quick succession, that's the best rule of thumb. And then after that, every 3 to 4 months, but no less than really twice a year, because it's really good practice to keep your bowel in good order, cleansed and hydrated. Back up with good nutrition. Make sure that you're having good probiotics either in supplement form or in dietary form, and stay hydrated. Also, you can have a parasite cleanse. Parasite cleanses should be done every 3 to 4 months, just like our pets.